Robert had to go to Bringford to the horse fair after breakfast, and one of his horses was quite worn out. He kissed Carrie in the little porch looking out onto the garden, with its display of stocks and asters glowing gaily in the wind. "You'll be all right till I come back. Sarah'll show you round the farm and tell you all sorts of funny things about our village. You won't be lost." "I shall be all right," she cried cheerfully, and waved her hand to him all the way down the hill. Then she went in, stood in the middle of the kitchen and said, "Is there anything I can do? I'd like to make myself useful." Her sister-in-law said there was nothing, with a stiff tilt of her head. So after standing by the window for some time, listening to the clanks of Sarah's clogs, Carrie went and stood on the doorstep. "Old cat," she murmured. "Well, I mustn't take her seriously. I'll just go and roll down the hill a bit and see things upside down. The same old sky." In the afternoon she inquired of her sister-in-law how far it was to Brinkford. 4 miles or so," answered Sarah, and when Carrie got ready and went out, she remarked to the coffee grinder, "To think of it, she's gone after him." Brinkford Horse Fair was an old institution. It brought hundreds of people together once a year, and there were much cheating and drinking of ale. Carrie paused in the main street and bought some pennywinkles at a stall, and watched the horses being run about. She liked the horsey smell about the street, and the funny men shouting at the top of their voices. The rain came on, but Carrie followed the crowd and came to the busiest part of the town. A grubby man stood on the edge of the flags, watching her face as she munched a sandwich. Carrie thought he looked hungry. "Have a bit?" she asked, holding out a sandwich, and he answered, "Rather." "With you?" She flushed. "Nice day for a walk," he said, winking expressively. "Not if my husband knows it," she answered, looking at him. "Think I was gone on you because I offered you a bite? Why, I'd have done that for a monkey at the Bellevue. Does your mother know you're out?" The men laughed hoarsely, but blinked a little at her withering tone and flushed, scornful face. Carrie was vaguely surprised at herself for being so angry. Most of all, that her heart was beating furiously. Looking up, she saw her husband leaning out of a window opposite, watching the horses with a keen, eager face. Crossing the street quickly, she made her way to the side. "Why, Carrie," he explained. "Come up the stairs. I've paid for this room. If I'd guessed you would like to come, I'd have brought you this morning. Sarah would have come." It was another link between the two. He told Carrie a good deal about horses that afternoon, and they walked out of the town, leading Brown Tommy, a fine horse, as he had graced the fair. When they got onto the road, he swung his wife up into the saddle, and thus they went back to Greenmeads. Sarah was out on their return, but there was a brown dish on the top of the oven. "She has made a whistler," said Robert, sniffing an open door. "No one can make whistlers like Sarah," he explained. "Oh," said Carrie, jealously. "Fancy that now. And it's a whistler because you whistle for the meal, is it? I'll remember." Rolls down the hill in the morning like a child and rides home like a queen in the afternoon and talks to him about horses all the evening, said Sarah to herself the next day. "And I brought him up for this." She went into the scullery. There was Carrie, sleeves up to her elbows, cutting up potatoes and onions with minute care. "I'm making a whistler," she said with a smile. "Bob likes them." "So he does," answered Sarah, and walked back into the kitchen, where she stood regarding John Bunyan as if he had done her a grievous wrong.